We get lost. Actually, this happened to me last Sunday. Last Sunday after worship, I had one of those unexpected but really beautiful visits with two of our church members. You know, those moments you didn't plan it, but it ends up being a blessing for your day. So during that visit, I experienced nature, horses, fresh air, and the best of all, great conversations. So we had a conversation about something deeply human. We started wondering out loud, what is our purpose in this season of life? What is our purpose in this season of life? And each of us in that room, we shared what we thought, what we felt, what we were discovering. And it was beautiful. It was really beautiful because in that moment, we got to know each other a little bit more. And even more than that, we got to know something new about ourselves. Later that day, my friend Alex, whom some of you met last Sunday, we decided to go into Chicago. We said, let's go grab some good Cuban food. There is a restaurant on Fullerton, El Señor Pan, Mr. Bread. We wanted to go there because we knew that there is great Cuban food there. So, guess what we did? We checked the GPS. GPS told us 25 minutes. Okay, that's easy, right? So we got into the car feeling confident. This is going to be simple. And then Chicago said, not today, not today. So there was construction everywhere, traffic cones like a maze, lanes closing, Sunday evening, a lot of people coming back into the city. And our GPS rerouting. Then again, rerouting. And again, rerouting. At one point, we got a little lost, a little confused. And I remember myself saying, again, we just rerouted. What's going on here? My friends, that funny experience, it got me thinking all the week long about the question, what happens when life does that? What happens when our lives take a different way? Not your phone, but your life. You thought you knew the way, you had a plan, you had a timeline, you knew what was coming next, and then suddenly something shifts. Maybe a diagnosis, a loss, a change in relationships, or a future that doesn't look like what you imagined. And life says, rerouting, rerouting. And today's gospel, this gospel that we just heard, Jesus is speaking to people who feel exactly like that. They're confused, they're anxious, they don't know what's coming next. So their lives are kind of rerouting somewhere that they don't know. Jesus comes to them and tells them, do not let your hearts be troubled. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now, we often hear that as Jesus is the correct path, like he's the perfect GPS. But let's be honest, life doesn't work like that. If it did, none of us would ever feel lost. None of us would ever worry. And none of us would ever wonder about our purpose in this season of life. So, what if Jesus is saying something deeper that we haven't noticed yet? Jesus is not handing us a map. Jesus is showing us that He's coming with us because, of course, as human beings, we like having a plan. We like knowing what's next. We feel that we like having control on everything. And let me tell you that some of the most hardest moments in life are not when things go wrong, because we already know they went wrong. It's when we don't know what comes next. That sense of uncertainty. Think about it. Have you ever had to go somewhere difficult? A hospital appointment, a hard conversation, a moment you didn't want to face? I have had those moments. But it's not just that. Maybe it was walking into a doctor's office wanting for results you didn't want to hear, or having that conversation with your child or your spouse that you have been avoiding for weeks or even months, or maybe going to a funeral carrying grief, that grief that you cannot explain, or maybe waking up and realizing my life is not what it used to be. Or even the quiet things, those that we often overlook, like feeling alone in a house that used to feel full, wondering what your purpose is in this season of life. I invite you to think in those moments. I invite you to think what made the difference. It wasn't that you had all the answers, maybe. It wasn't that everything suddenly made sense for you. Maybe Maybe was that someone that went with you to that place you didn't want to go. Maybe your best friend, your parents, your grandparents, your mom, your dad. I don't know. But someone who sat next to you, someone that listened to you, someone that said and reminded you, you don't have to do this alone. I am with you. Let's face it together. And that's where this gospel becomes real. Because when Jesus says, I am the way, He's not handing us a map, He's offering us His presence. So, my friends, when life says rerouting, when the road changes, when the plan falls apart, when you don't recognize the path anymore, faith is not like, I know exactly where I'm going. So, faith is about, I trust the one or the ones that are walking with me. And here's the good news, that news that fills your soul, that kind of news that really lifts you up. You are not wandering. You are not forgotten. You are not facing this life alone. Because the same Christ who said, I am the way, is the same Christ who walks with you into every doctor's appointment, into every hard conversation, into every moment of fear and uncertainty, into every season where you are still discovering your purpose. So, next time your GPS says rerouting, smile. Smile because life does that all the time. And we have to accept it, right? So, my beloveds, my friends, I want to close with an image that came to me during a conversation with a member of our congregation. This happened a few weeks ago. So even as a pastor, we learn. We learn a lot in conversations and interactions with people. So she shared how she was encouraging her daughter to write a book about the seasons of life. Sometimes, sometimes we look at our lives and we're like a tree. We're like a tree. All of us pass through different seasons in our lives. When winter comes, we look at the tree, our life, and winter feels sad. It is difficult. It is hard. During the winter, the tree looks completely empty. It seems like everything is gone. We feel a kind of sadness and sorrow. It looks like it's over. That tree has died. And we wonder, where is the beauty of the tree? Where is its life? Is there any hope left for this dry tree? Yes. Yes, there is hope. The hope of the next season. The hope of spring. Spring will come with its colors, with its flowers, with its fruit, with its beauty. Because life is still alive inside that tree. And it doesn't matter the season, it doesn't matter the dryness. There is hope. There is hope. And no matter what season you are going through in your life now, whether you are rich or poor, young or old, whether you are facing anxiety, depression, problems, or conflict in your family or with your spouse, whoever you are, whatever you are going through, there is hope for you. There is always hope. There is hope because every promise, every word that God has spoken over your life, even when you search and cannot find it, even when you look and cannot see it, still remains. You may be asking, what is the purpose of my life at this point? What season am I in now? Maybe you think you are the dry tree, unable to give life because of the winter. But never forget that life is within. Life is inside you. And all the promises of God, like the one we heard today, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. That life, that presence will carry us forward, even beyond the unknown. Because we don't follow Jesus because he gives us a perfect map. We follow him because he stays. He stays with us when the road makes no sense, when we don't know what's our purpose, and when we don't know in what season are we in. So my invitation for you as you go forth into this week is this one. Go out not needing to have everything figured out. Go out not needing to know every step ahead, but trusting this promise. The Spirit of the living God is already walking beside you, guiding you, strengthening you, holding you, even now. So walk forward, not in fear, but in trust, not in anxiety, but in hope, not alone, but with Christ. And wherever you go, remember, Christ is already there, reminding you and me, do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me.